Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. I'm Paul Lupino. I'm the Director of Data Management Technology Services, and I would let my colleague Klaus introduce himself.
Yeah, hi, Paul. Hi, everyone. Klaus Walters. I'm the Director for Cloud Strategy and Business Operations at Iron Mountain.
And today we're going to talk about legacy data and challenges around legacy data, and off we go. So this slide is basically depicting that everybody's got legacy data in their environment. And Klaus, I think even though I'm kind of more on the tape and legacy side, you're on the cloud side, I think everyone we talk to agrees that they've got a problem with legacy data.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I think a lot of our customers that we talk to find that they have a very large amount of data. They don't really know how to deal with that effectively. And much of that data, due to the cost effectiveness of tape and the longevity of tape, most of that data actually lives on tape. So we're going to cover how to make the best use out of tape and some paths forward to moving into the cloud today.
Right. And although you're right, most of it is on tape, we also handle every other kind of media people can think of. So don't think you're just limited to tape as well.
One of the challenges that we see for people that are looking to move to the cloud is the business disruptions that could potentially bring to them, right? Most IT organizations have a fixed budget. They have a fixed number of full-time employees, and that extra work that comes in can often be a complexity that people don't want to deal with, right? And that's where some of our solutions can help augment that staff, deliver the service in a fully managed mode where we bring the people in and we help get people over that hump in the road, if you will, right? And of course, most network environments in an IT infrastructure are usually designed to cope with day-to-day workload. It doesn't have this innate amount of capacity that's needed to move data to the cloud. So we have solutions for either augmenting your networking or potentially moving it on some kind of data shuttle device, right? And again, costs. Everyone has a fixed budget generally. There's usually no money sort of sitting around just waiting to be spent on a project. And hiring in people, and that's where we can come and actually deliver a service for a fixed price, a fixed timeline, and get the project delivered on time.
You're right. There's this sort of ongoing balancing act, right? People have legacy data as well as new stuff coming in all the time. And then the question is, what's the most efficient use of resources? I can tell you from my side of the house, sometimes it's, I don't have the drives or the know-how or the software to get the data off of some of this legacy, and everybody starts off with, I want to move to the cloud, right? So you got to make some decisions. What do you have to keep? Do you know what you have? How do you deal with the onslaught? Because it's not like less data is coming in. People are creating more and more every day, right? So this is a problem I think, again, every organization we talk to has. And I think that when we talk to customers, flexibility tends to be the most important thing for them. So we can do, if you do want to move data to the cloud, we can do it all at once. To your point, Klaus, about the sort of fixed project. But we can do it over time. We're working with a customer right now who said, I have a fixed budget, but I really need to get this data into the cloud. Can you help me spread this across, 6-8 months so I can budget for it? And then we've also got plenty of customers who say, hey, I'm going to keep what I've got where it is. I'll only call you if I need you because I want to go use my new backup solution, right? So I've cut over and I don't want to go through the hassle of doing the migration, but I still need access to that data should it ever be requested.
Let's take a look and see how we can help you accelerate your journey to the cloud with Iron Mountain. In this particular example, we're talking about backup workloads. You could have other workloads where you're looking to move perhaps unstructured data to the cloud, archive data, etc. The principles are the same. So if you take a look at this slide, in step one, we would have you change your backup target to Iron Cloud. Iron Cloud is Iron Mountain's own cloud. It's built on our data centers. It's quite unique in the fact that we build our cloud originally on the zero trust principle. So it's essentially a private cloud. Only you have access to your data. So it's not like the public hyperscalers. That sets us apart. And the second part that really differentiates our offering is we have a fixed price per terabyte. It includes ingress, egress, API charges. We don't charge for any of those. So that way you have a cost predictable model. It's very easy to budget for. And for most of our services, we're anywhere between 20 to 60% less than what the hyperscalers are. So it's very, very cost effective. And you get the certainty of storing the data with Iron Mountain, right? So that's your day forward strategy. You're sending all your new data into Iron Cloud. We can store that on a hot tier, which is object storage on the back end. We can send it to a cold tier if you want to do long-term archive. That, for us, is a service. It looks like cloud. It uses the S3 protocol. Again, it's our data centers. We simply just leverage the protocol for transmitting the data. And once we've received that data, we move it off to tape and store it for long-term archival purposes. And the great thing with that is we all know tape has a very long life, 30 years. So it gives you a air gap copy that can be kept long-term and keep your data safe, right? And then, Paul, perhaps on the bottom, if you don't mind speaking to the second part on how you can help with our restoration and migration program.
No, not all happy to. So I think absolutely people come to us with this day forward challenge, right? I've picked a new backup solution and I want to move to the cloud. What do I do with my old stuff, right? And that's what we've been talking about so far. I think everybody starts off the conversation with, I want to move everything to the cloud. And then they start to think, do I really need to do that? How frequently am I accessing it? You know, how important is this data? And, you know, if you're only keeping it to run the clock out on it, it may make sense just to keep it where it is on the tape media, for example, and then have us, you know, provide that data access to. What we see most often is that customers run their old solution and their new solution for 6 months or so, make sure the new solution is working, and then they're ready to do the cutover, right? And I would say by far the most popular thing we do for customers is a data restoration and migration services program where we host your catalog. It's a fully managed service. You call us when you want the data, and we deliver it when you make the request into Iron Cloud, or you know, it can be secure FTP or whatever way you want to get it back. But most people these days say, I want to have it delivered in the cloud. So you get on-demand restoration on the off chance you need that data.
On this next slide, we're going to look at the different tiers of storage that we offer. And the way I like to look at this is in a holistic fashion. So if we look at a customer, it's really important that we determine the best storage tier to keep that data on. And by that, I mean, most people have a lot of archive data that's got to be kept for the long term. And what we can do as a records management company is help you sort out what data belongs at what tier and then move it to the appropriate tier. There's a lot of talk in our industry about, let's just put it on hot object storage because it's inexpensive. Well, that's one approach, but you know, you pay one price point. If you move it off to the correct tier, reduce your footprint, not only do you save on the cost of storage, you also minimize the amount of data that we store. So for archive storage, we got a couple of different offerings. The service that I talked about earlier is secure offline storage. It provides a S3 front end. We write the data to tape on the back end, and we keep that for a long-term archival. And then if you move up in the cylinder there, you can see operational recovery. That's where we're talking about using a hot storage tier for your operational backups, where you're looking to meet a predetermined RTO and RPO. Most times when you're restoring data, people are looking for data to almost come back immediately, and that's what that hot tier of object storage gives you. And then we go up one step further, we start talking about disaster recovery. Now, disasters come in many different forms, depending on the time of year. It could be weather related, could be a data center failure, etc. We have a number of solutions from people that we partner with. Both Veeam and Carbonite provide services like that. And what that allows you to do is keep a replicated copy of your data with Iron Mountain. And then in the event of a failure, you can fail your business across to us, compute and operate your business out of that environment until such time that your original facility comes back. And then we can help you orchestrate a failover back to the original site afterwards. And probably the most important one, the one that everybody is talking about these days, is ransomware. It's everywhere. I think the saying is, it's not a matter of whether you'll get ransomware or not. It's a matter of when you're going to get hit with it, right? And unfortunately, that's happened to a lot of our customers. We have a number of services we can help with there. We have isolated recovery. Any of those services could be from Dell, Rubrik, Cohesity, where they give you a failover compute environment, but the data is being kept isolated. So after it's been written, we cut the network connection to that data so it can't be infiltrated by a virus or any kind of cyber threat. And as a way to augment that, our secure offline storage product, as I mentioned earlier, it writes to tape, so it creates a automatic air gap when data is taken out. What we do with secure offline storage, we have multi-factor authentication that we can layer on top of it. We refer to it as Vault Lock. What that does, it requires multiple people to approve the recall of data. So let's say, for instance, you have a cyber threat event occur that tries to infiltrate your backed up data. We've now cut the network connection to that tape because it's air gapped. And in order to go back and either recall a tape, write to a tape, delete from the tape, it requires multi-factor authentication. So in most cases, you'll have a backup administrator can request the restore, and then a number of external people have to approve that. So that could be like your CFO, your CIO, but somebody that's not in the normal operational line of fire and taking care of those backups. So that way the requester is authenticated and we ensure that only the good guy gets the data back.
Everybody starts off with please take all my data off all my tapes and dump it in the cloud. And we usually have a little consulting period to say, you really need to do that, because oftentimes people will, once we do the tape identification for them, if they don't have the catalog, for example, they'll say, you know what, I only really need the monthlies or the annuals. The incrementals maybe are not as important. So a lot of times we're helping people first sort out what data is really important for you to move when and if you want to move it. And the bottom part of this slide is really just kind of explaining how it works. So this depicts sort of a project of moving to the cloud. Any commercially available backup software is in play here. We can extract data from it. We can move it via, a data shuttle, as Klaus mentioned earlier. You can do it, over the wire directly into Iron Cloud, and then you can decide what you want to do with those tapes. What's very popular in the last year or so is people trying to save money on storage, and so when they are doing this move to the cloud, they can go back and say, all right, let's eliminate the physical tapes at this point. So then we have a service that can help with that, with our asset lifecycle management. But as you're seeing at the bottom, we're delivering, in this case, the native file format to you. So when you're getting it in the cloud, you're getting actual usable files rather than just the original legacy backup software. Klaus, I don't know about you, but I think we're still hearing a lot of people say things like, I like tape, but I really want quicker access to it, right? And definitely they want faster access to the files. And so I think the object store really is the answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I think it's all added something about time is money, right? The quicker you can get back and get your business back to operating, the sooner they can move forward, right? So object is great for that purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I've even customer this week talked to them and said it was not a recovery necessarily. It was a entertainment company, and they wanted some files off tapes, but they didn't want to wait the hours it takes to read the tape and then transmit them, because when they need them, they want to be able to, put it into the purpose that they originally, whatever workflow they were building, and they want it, in less time and more and quicker accessibility. So again, just another use case for how this works. We've been talking about a couple of use cases like entertainment services, but pretty much across all across the board, this is a solution. Everybody's got legacy data, and we have done work in all aspects: public sector, private sector, healthcare, financial services, retail, anything you can think of, oil and gas. We've done every industry, right? Because like I said, everybody's got legacy. They don't all do the same things with the data. Sometimes they make decisions about what they want to extract and what they want to keep, or they'll sometimes do a hybrid approach. But I think the lesson basically is that whatever industry you're in, this approach can help for you.
I want to give a quick example of a large healthcare provider that recently worked with us. They were challenged. They had a legacy backup environment, writing a lot of data to data domain. They changed from their incumbent software, TSM, across to using Veeam. And as we all know, with Veeam version 12 coming out, there's a very large push to write data to object storage because of the speed and the pace that they can recover data at, right? So as part of the program, they decided to engage us for the data restoration migration services program. So they have access to those legacy tapes. So that's where we store the tapes in our vault. Paul's team takes care of them in case there's an event where they need to recall data. They can load those tapes up, recall the data, send it back to them either electronically or on some kind of physical media. They're all options that are out there. In this particular case, the customer has 30 petabytes, and yes, that is petabytes with a capital P, so a very large volume of data. They decided that they wanted to use our object storage platform to give them the RTO and RPO that they're looking for. And this is really meant to be their cyber recovery solution. So they have on-premise backups that take care of the day-to-day recovery. In the event that they have a large-scale cyber threat, this is the way to get information back from us. After a period of time, they determined that they also wanted to protect some of their most critical infrastructure information. And when I say that, I'm talking about DNS, Active Directory, router switch configurations, anything that's required to be recovered. And what they chose to do there was to use our secure offline storage product and actually back that up, have us put it on tape, and then put Vault Lock in front of it. So any time that they need to get that data back, they know that they're going to have to multiple approvers to allow for the recall of that data. But at the same time, they feel it's protected and nobody can get to it. So they always have a known good copy. For their backups and object storage, they send those every day. They probably send us data at a rate of somewhere in the 30 to 40 gigabit a second range, where we ingest that data. And for Vault Lock, that's on a daily basis, much smaller data set, but it's really critical configuration files that they're sending across to us. They've had that service in place now for a year. It's working great. They've actually grown the footprint significantly, and they've discovered through testing that restoring using Veeam from our object storage platform is about 6 times faster than their previous solution. So from an RTO, RPO perspective, that makes a lot of sense to them, right? And I think from Paul's side, you've been able to give them access to all that legacy data that they need to maintain for X amount of time to deal with compliance.
Yeah, the way they got there, at least in part, is that they had acquired some other companies, right? And so they had somebody else's legacy backup data, and so they needed to be able to manage that. And then what did they get in return when they did the program? They can shut down all the stuff that they were using. They can reclaim the data center space, save money on all the hardware, the backup licenses, all that, the labor to do the work, like we started off this conversation, right? So I think they were really pretty happy all across the board with having the solutions for all of their data under one roof. So this one, Klaus, was actually a large retail company, and it was a similar thing where it was a multi-solution situation where they face a lot of litigation and they have a lot of data on tape, so they're transacting with it pretty frequently. But they also had to save money. They were trying to do some consolidation. They needed also to put some data in faster, accessible, object store, basically. So this is another version of the solution that we use to solve for them. We're giving them access to their data that's on tape because, again, it's a litigation matter. So when they need it quickly. So to some extent, we're kind of providing a staff augmentation because we can throw more people at it to be able to get the data off faster. We've got more tape drives available. And, that said, there are other needs of having a sort of warmer tier for future data access is another deal where with both an Iron Cloud and a data restoration opportunity. So this one basically is a recap of what we've been talking about today, right? So I think from a restoration perspective, the things you should think about are you can have this done as a fully managed service or as a project or something in the middle, right? You can decide to light up only the parts that you actually need, some or all. You could take a hybrid approach, and we can deliver, data for you in Iron Cloud. And, because I think you've already kind of given the all the benefits of Ironclad and the various flavors of and choices people have of that. So the whole idea is that we're trying to save people some money and also make the service, easy to use and easy to budget for.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. And I think one thing that might be worth adding here is not only do we have storage services, we also have compute. We're seeing a lot of people are looking to monetize their data and derive value from it. And we can help with that as well by putting compute of many different types. We also have different storage types. If you need NVMe, we could do that for you as well to do high-speed compute against that and extract data points from that information as well. So there's a whole gamut of services, and probably the best thing here is to work with one of our solution architects, have them understand what you're trying to accomplish, and then they can put forth what they feel would be a solution, one, to minimize your storage and also address your actual requirements. So I just want to quickly speak to one of our partnerships. Iron Mountain is a partner with OpenText. OpenText owns the Carbonite backup product, and we've been partnered with them now for many, many years, back from the days when Carbonite was eVault. So that gives you an idea of how long we've been working together. We have services that are exclusive to Iron Mountain. They run out of the Iron Mountain data center in Boyers, Pennsylvania, that we can help you protect servers, whether they're physical, virtual. We also have a number of cloud-to-cloud-based backups. We can help you protect M365, G Suite, or Google Workspace, as some people like to call it. We can protect Salesforce.com. We have a backup agent for both Box and Dropbox as well. They're all SaaS-based applications. The particular manufacturer of the service, whether it's Microsoft or Google or Box or Dropbox, Salesforce, they do a great job delivering their platform and looking after the infrastructure. What our backup solution does is allows you to protect the data, whether that's intentional or unintentional damage by humans, cyber threats, etc. And being SaaS-based, they allow for very rapid RTO and RPO, so you can maintain your compliance. There's also a number of products. If you're looking at moving cloud or moving to the cloud, we can help you move a physical server to a virtual instance and vice versa. And what makes our services a little bit different, unlike the freeware tools where you have to be an expert from day one, the migrate product that we have, it allows you to do a test run and make sure that everything's in the right place and it's landing where you want it to. And if something's not working, you can back out of it. And most importantly, it comes with a 1-800 number. We all know we need support. That often happens off hours. So we have 24/7, 365 support based both in the US and around the world on a toll-free number. You get to talk to a real live human being and they can support you there as well. And like I mentioned, if you're interested, if something we mentioned on the call made sense to you, you want to learn more about it, perhaps you've got more questions, reach out to your Iron Mountain sales rep. You can also visit our website at ironmountain.com, ask for a demo, and we also got the online resource center. So with that, thank you very much for your attention today, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks very much.